Hello everyone. So let's start with the paper analysis of CA Foundation Paper 2, Business Laws. Let's start. Let's start with the first question. So it says R owns an electronics store. P visited the store to buy a water purifier priced at 54,000. He specifically requested R for a purifier with copper filter as P wanted to buy the purifier on credit with an intention of paying in 9 equal monthly installments. R he demands for a guarantor for the transaction since it was a credit purchase. S came forward and gave the guarantee for the payment of purifier. So S here is the surety. R sold P a water purifier of a specific brand. P he makes 4 monthly installments. However, after that he becomes insolvent. Explained with reference to Indian Contract Act 1872, the liability of S as a guarantor to pay the balance price of water purifier. So as you all know that in a situation wherein the principal debtor he fails to make the payment, the surety will be held liable and here S has to make the payment of the balance price of the water purifier. Moving on to the second part. What will be your answer if R sold the water purifier misrepresenting it as having a copper filter while actually it had a normal filter? Neither P nor S were aware of the fact, and upon discovering the truth, P refuses to pay the price. So here there is misrepresentation involved. And in case of a misrepresentation, the surety is discharged from his liability. So in the second situation, S will not be liable to make the payment since P has refused to make the payment. Moving on to the second part. A company ABC Limited on 31st March 23 had paid a capital of 1 lakh, which was divided into 10,000 equity shares of 10 each. In June 23, ABC Limited had issued additional 10,000 equity shares, which was fully subscribed. So there were initial 10,000 shares and additional 10,000 shares were issued. Out of 10,000 shares, 5,000 of these shares were issued to XYZ Private Limited. So out of the total 20,000 shares, 5,000 shares were issued to XYZ Limited, XYZ Private Limited. XYZ is the holding company of PQR Private Limited by having control over the composition of board of directors. Now the first question comes here is XYZ the is XYZ the holding company of ABC Limited? So the answer is definitely no, because it's not holding more than 50% of the voting power, and also neither it controls the composition of board of directors. So there's no holding subsidiary relation between ABC and XYZ. Now, PQR Private Limited claims the status of being subsidiary of ABC Limited as being subsidiary of its subsidiary XYZ Private Limited. So again, since there's no holding subsidiary relationship between ABC and XYZ, there's no question of PQR being the subsidiary of ABC Limited. State the relationship, if any, between ABC Limited and XYZ Private Limited as per the Companies Act. So there's no direct relationship between these companies, ABC Limited and XYZ Private Limited. However, yes, if the total voting power is at least 20%, then they can be associate companies. Moving on. The Indian Partnership Act does not make registration of firms compulsory, so registration of firms is not compulsory. Yet the consequences of disabilities of non-registration have pressure for registration. So explain with references what are the cases where non-registration has an impact. So case cannot be filed, the partners cannot sue each other. So this was a direct question wherein you just had to write in all the consequences of non-registration of a partnership firm. Moving on. Sony, a friend of Priya, wanted to buy her two-wheeler. So Sony is Priya's friend and wants to buy her two-wheeler. Priya agreed to sell her two-wheeler, and it was decided that the price will be fixed by Priya's father, who is an auto dealer. So the price has to be fixed by a third party in this situation. So this question is based on section 9 and 10 of the Sale of Goods Act 1930. Priya immediately handed over the keys to Sony. So the keys were handed over. So there's symbolic delivery which has happened here. However, Priya's father refused to fix the price as he did not want Priya to sell the vehicle. However, the third party refuses to fix the price. Now, what will happen in this particular situation? Can Priya take back the vehicle from Sony? So, answer in the first case is no, Priya cannot take back the vehicle since the ownership has been transferred. And in this particular situation, Sony will have to pay a reasonable price to Priya. Moving on to the second part, will your answer be different if Priya had not handed over the vehicle? Yes, definitely. If Priya had not handed over the vehicle, then the contract would have been void because the price which was to be fixed by the third party, has not been fixed. 2B is Ram wants to incorporate a company wherein he will be the only member. According to the provisions of Companies Act, what type of company he can be incorporated and what are the features of this type of company. So he can incorporate a one-person company, and you had to write in all the features of one-person company. So again, a direct question. Moving on to the next question. LLP is a new form of legal business entity with limited liability. It's an alternative corporate business vehicles. What you have to explain in here is define the following characteristics of LLP. So, in detail, explain how LLP is a body corporate, mutual agency, foreign LLPs, and how is it an artificial legal person. So, again, a direct question. Not much to be discussed on this. Moving on. Question number 3. P, Q, and R formed a partnership agreement to operate motor buses along specific routes for a duration of 12 years. And after 4 years, the business incurred losses each year. So there was persistent losses in the business happening. Despite this, P is determined to continue the business for the remaining period. So it was for a complete period of 12 years, but after 4 years only, the business was incurring continuous losses. But however, P, one of the partners, want to continue with the business for the entire term of 12 years. Can P insist to continue the business? If so, what options are available with Q&R? So what Q&R can do is they can apply for dissolution of the firm. So in this particular situation, since this is a case of continuous losses, Q and R, the other partners, they have a right to go to the court and ask the court to dissolve the partnership firm. Moving on to the next one. A and B operate a textile merchant business in partnership. Mr. A finances the business and is a sleeping partner. So Mr. A is a sleeping partner. And in regular course of business, B is acquiring the fabric belonging to C. However, B is aware that these goods are a stolen property. Despite this knowledge, B proceeds to the purchase and some of the goods are stolen goods. Moreover, B records proceeds from these sales in the firm's book. Now, A wants to avoid the liability towards C on the grounds of misconduct by B. Can A do that? Now, in this particular situation, A is a sleeping partner and B is an active partner. And there's a section which says that notice to the active partner is as good as notice to the firm. So, in this situation, since B knew about all the stolen goods, it is as good as everyone in the firm knows it, and A will also remain liable in this situation. A cannot get done away with his liability. Moving on to the next part. XYZ is incorporated under Companies Act. Now, its paid up share capital is held as follows: Government of India 20%, LIC 8%, Government of Tamil Nadu, which is state government, so 10%, Government of Rajasthan, another state government, 10%. Now you have to state whether it can be called a government company or not. So for being called a government company, at least 51% or more than that has to be held by central government or state government or jointly by both central government and the state government. In this particular situation, the total holding of government is 40%, which is less than 51%. So XYZ cannot be called as a government company. There's a government owned company which holds 15% stake here. However, it is not central government and neither state government. So this 15% will not be counted. The second part says M and N, holding 70% and 30% of the shares in a company, both died in an accident. With reference to the provisions of Companies Act, what will be the legal effect as both the members have died? So there won't be any shutting down of the company. We all know that companies have perpetual succession. So nothing will happen to the existence of the company. Moving on. So again, a direct question, explain in brief with reference to Indian Contract Act, rights enjoyed by surety against the creditor, principal debtor, and the co-sureties. So what are the rights of the sureties have to be mentioned in here. Moving on to the next question. Mr. J entered into an agreement with Mr. S to purchase his house for 20 lakhs within 3 months. He also paid an advance of 50,000 as token money. In the meanwhile, in an anti-encroachment drive for local administration, Mr. S's house was demolished. When Mr. J was informed about the incident, he asked for the refund of token money. Referring to the relevant provisions of Indian Act, state whether J is entitled to the refund. So, yes, in this particular situation will apply Section 56 and Section 65 of the Indian Act, where the contract has become void. Then, in that situation, any benefit which has been received under the contract has to be returned back to the other person, returned back to the other party. So, here again, in this situation, also this 50,000 has to be returned back to Mr. J. Moving on to the next one. Ram directs Sham to sell laptops for him and agrees to give Sham 11% commission on the sale price which is fixed by Ram on each laptop. As Government of India put restriction on import of laptops, Ram thought that the prices of laptop would go up in near future and he revokes Sham's authority for any further sale. So Sham is Ram's agent in this situation. Before receiving the letter as his end, he has already sold 5 laptops at the price which has been fixed by Ram. Sham asked for 11% commission on the sale of 5 laptops for 1 lakh each. Explain under the provisions whether the sale of laptops after revoking Sham's authority is binding. So, when even if Sham is selling laptops after revocation of authority, then that will not be binding. So, no, it is not binding on Ram if Sham has sold the laptops after revocation of his authority. And the second part says whether Sham will be able to recover his commission from Ram. If yes, what will be the amount of commission? So, yes, he'll be able to recover commission for the 5 laptops which he has sold at the rate of 11% on the sale price which was decided by Ram. Moving on. A promissory note payable at a certain period after sight must be presented to the maker for payment. Under which scenarios presentment for payment is not necessary and the instrument is dishonored at the due date for presentment. So again, a direct question wherein you just have to write in that what are the situations wherein presentment is not necessary. And then again, the next question is also a direct question. This is from the Indian regulatory framework wherein you have to describe in brief about SEBI, RBI and Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Moving on to the next question. So, this was a question which was a bit different and also a topic on auction sale which was touched upon for the very first time in such a big detail. So, let's have a look at it. PTC Hotels in Mumbai decided to sell their furniture by auction sale. For this purpose, they appointed RN and Associates as auctioneer. They invited top 10 renowned architects in Bombay for bidding. A right to bid was not notified by them. So, this is an important point. Furniture was put up in lots for sale. So, it was made into separate lots and was put up for sale. It was decided that every lot of furniture there will be a reserve price. On 25th Feb, auction sale was started at 10 p.m. and for a special lot of furniture, 3 parties came for bidding, Mr. Neil, Raj and Dev. And this is the bid which they did. Now, generally, the auction is or the thing which is being auctioned is sold to the highest bidder. However, what happened here was the sale was completed in favor of Mr. Neil by RN Associates by fall of hammer. Mr. Dev bids was rejected on the ground that right to bid was reserved and the company of Mr. Dev was not invited to bidding. So though Mr. Dev is the highest bidder, Mr. Neil was the one who was given the furniture. Now, why is that so? Because they say that Mr. Dev's bid was rejected because they were not invited for bidding process. Now, in this particular situation, there can be two contentions which can be held. One is that this thing which has been done is wrong, and it is the highest bidder who is entitled to receive the receive the product or good which is being auctioned. However, the second contention which can be taken here in this particular situation is that there's no reservation of right to bid. Mr. Dev does not have the right to bid. So, yes, selling the furniture to Mr. Neil is correct. So, in this particular situation, we'll have to wait for the suggested answers and see what ICI, which contention did ICI take into consideration. For another bit of Italian furniture, there were 2 parties who made it. However, sale was completed in favor of Mr. Dheer who was again a lower bidder than Mr. Madhu. Now, here comes this particular point that the right to bid was not notified. So, here Mr. Madhu was here on behalf of RN Associates, and that is not lawful. Mr. Dev and Madhu, they argued that the auction sale was not lawful and give your opinion ki what should be done. So, in this particular situation, Mr. Dheer, being the person who in whose favor the sale was completed, is correct, because Mr. Madhu, he is on behalf of RN Associates, and there's no right to reserve. There's no right which has been notified. So in this particular situation, Mr. Madhu's bid will also not be a valid one. Moving on. Dissolution of partnership doesn't mean dissolution of firm. Do you agree with this statement? And state three situations where court can dissolve the firm. So again, a direct question, wherein yes, there's a difference between dissolution of partnership and dissolution of firm. And you also have to state in situations wherein the firm can be dissolved by the court. Moving on, where a party to contract refuses altogether to perform or is disabled for performing his part, the other party has the right to rescind it. So, discuss this statement and effects of such refusal under the provisions of Indian Contract Act. So, when a party refuses to perform or is disabled from performing, then the other party has a right to rescind the contract. So, this again a direct question, and what are the remedies which are available to the other party, what will be the effect of refusal, has to be written. Moving on, Mr. Y issued a check of 10,000 to Mr. Z, which was dishonored by the bank because Y did not have enough funds in his account and has no authority to overdraw. Examine Mr. Whether Mr. Y is liable for dishonor of check. If yes, what are the consequences of such an offense? So again, here comes in section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, which you will have to apply in here. So yes, in the given situation, Y is liable for the dishonor of check because it has happened due to insufficiency of funds. What would be your answer if Y issued a check as a donation to Mr. Z? So if Y issued a check as donation to Mr. Z, then section 138 would not apply in that situation and Y would not be held liable in that situation. Moving on, so there's this again a direct question. One is on wagering agreement and how they resemble the how certain transactions resemble wagering transaction has to be written. And the second one is on contingent contracts and what are the rules regarding contingent contracts. Moving on to the next question. J, a wholesaler of premium basmati rice, delivered on approval 100 bags of rice of 10 kg each to a local retailer on sale or return basis. So this is a sale happening on sale or approval basis. The next day, the retailer sold 5 bags of rice to a regular customer K. A week later, K informed the retailer that the quality of rice was not as per the price. The retailer now wants to return all the rice bags to J, including the 4 bags not used by K. Can retailer do so? So, with respect to the remaining bags which were not delivered to K, yes, the retailer can return those to J. However, the bags which were sold to K, retailer cannot return those because since the retailer has sold them ahead, it is as good as accepting and there's transfer of ownership which has happened. And what are the provisions related to sale of goods on approval basis is what has to be written here in this particular question. So this was it. All in all, the paper was a different paper this time. There were new concepts which were touched upon. There were new topics which were touched upon, topics which were not concentrated or which were not asked upon earlier were the topics which were touched upon in this particular question paper. So yes, the question paper was a bit different. However, it was manageable and I hope all of you all have written your exams really well. So all the very best for your results and stay connected with us and reach out to us on forums in case you have any queries. Thank you.